There's not much difference between forgiving other people and forgiving yourself. And you can't just do that by saying that you're going to do it. So what I've observed clinically, and I think this works philosophically as well, is that what you want to do to set things right, which is to atone, is to lay out what you've done that you think was wrong. Provide yourself with the best possible defense. So, there's a reason in our legal system that we start with the presumption of innocence, which is a miracle. Because like tyrannies start with the presumption of guilt. And the reason they do that is because everyone's done something wrong. And if you dig around enough in anyone's life, you'll find a reason that they're culpable, a reason to put them away. And so the fact that we presume innocence is a complete bloody miracle. And I can't figure out how we ever managed to get that right. But you've got to do that with yourself. So imagine you're taking yourself to task because you did some things wrong. It's like, okay, list them out in your imagination or write it down. But then you got to defend yourself as thoroughly as you possibly can, which doesn't mean you're trying to get yourself off the hook. It means that you're trying not to take yourself apart more than is necessary. And then you might ask, well, if I've done something terrible, maybe what's necessary is that I commit suicide, is that like I pay the ultimate price for my sins, and people will do that when they're depressed. And that's not right, because actually what you want to do to atone is to set yourself back on the right track. So the precondition for forgiving yourself is, first of all, to sort out whether or not you're accusing yourself too viciously, like a tyrant. But then let's assume that there's some leftover evidence, compelling evidence that you did do something wrong. Okay, now you have to figure out what you did wrong, and you have to figure out what you would have done differently and what you will do differently in the future. And then my sense is, and I think this works out psychologically, is that if you can set yourself up so that you've learned from the mistake you made so you wouldn't repeat it, then you get to go on with your life. And I think that's also what you do with people around you. You might want to forgive someone maybe who hurt you when you were young, for example, because you don't want to carry that burden around. It's like, it's been 20 years, you're still mad about it. It's like, well, you got tortured, plus you're still angry about it, so that's not good for you. But to forgive someone so that you can heal a relationship means that they have to confess what they did, they have to assess why it was wrong, they have to come up with an alternative way of behaving, and then they have to swear, by all that's holy, so to speak, that they're not going to do that again in the future. And then I think, and you might say that the devil in your mind that's still accusing you might say, well, what you did is so terrible that you should never be let off the hook. And I would say that if that's the criteria that you use for judgment, then everyone's doomed, because everyone makes mistakes in their lives. And I would say probably everybody makes unforgivable mistakes. And so if we're going to take ourselves apart about that permanently, then we're all ruined.